was the day before Thanksgiving, and I'm starving. But I know you're starving for some Crain Company, so you knew we had to give it to you. Obviously, we're not live. We appreciate you guys being here. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Gonna be back with Josh Pate, too, on Friday as well. Then got the Sunday recap. But, guys, before we get into the show today, got a big show, got a lot to go over, got to get off my lawn that I think people are really going to like because they typically do, and this is one of my favorite ones. Give me your most overrated and underrated Thanksgiving food. Cone, go.
Underrated oyster dressing. Not enough people are talking about it. Can we put it in the game, Coach?
You're talking about it.
I know we're going to have it this week.
Give me the most overrated.
In that same vein, stuffing. Why would you eat stuffing if you can eat dressing? And they're not the same. They're not the same. And I don't want to step on your toes there because I think I know what your most overrated is.
You got a good idea what I'm going to say.
Get
well, what's yours there, Blaine?
Which one do you want first?
Give me overrated.
Stuffing. I agree. I'm 1,000% in that boat.
But you like dressing?
I love dressing.
Okay.
It's a difference. Stuffing, mediocre at best, and the most underrated is cranberry sauce.
Good. I'm glad you said that.
It's delicious. It's delicious.
I'm really glad you said that. I'm gonna go underrated. I'm gonna say crescent rolls. I think just old school crescent rolls. You know, some people go like dinner rolls. Some people get like super duper crazy with it. Yes.
What's your thoughts on Hawaiian rolls?
Love them.
Okay.
Love them.
Okay.
Overrated. It's cranberry sauce.
Why is it a thing?
It's the candy corn of Thanksgiving.
We have to get
now you're being
communists out of this.
No,
country.
it's just eat. Why don't you just
candy
eat
corn's a
jelly
Halloween staple.
like an adult?
Okay.
Why don't you just
It's
eat
not
jelly
the
like
same.
an
It's
adult?
different. It's a different taste.
What? Yeah, it tastes worse.
It's a different taste. Like it's not. Who doesn't like crescent rolls? Everybody likes crescent rolls.
That's exactly.
Not even under like they're.
No,
exactly
I'm talking about the crescent roll is a
That's
type
like
of
saying
roll.
Georgia's underrated.
It's a type
the
of
turkey.
roll.
Georgia's the turkey.
I'm being specific about the type of roll. Get the fat out of your ears.
Let me ask you this: what's the best way to cook a turkey?
Deep fried.
Apparently, I'm smoking one in the Big Green Egg this week.
Ooh, okay, Coney.
Yeah.
There you go.
I've been tasked with that.
Okay.
I'm gonna rise to the challenge.
The fried turkey, a little Cajun inject. That's how you do it. We're going to go over which team should be on the biggest upset alert, give you our locks, leans, and dogs, NFL best and worst, and Cone's going to go overtime to tell you to get off his lawn. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of Crain Company. This college football season has been filled with wild turns, wild finishes, and wild upsets. So don't think during rivalry week somebody's hopes aren't going to get crushed as far as going and making the first college football playoff that includes 12 teams. Every slate's been an incredible slate. We should be very, very thankful for the parity and thankful that something crazy is going to happen after Thanksgiving to maybe not have y'all all take a nap once it does happen. But co-host, former Michigan quarterback David Cone is hoping his team can pull off one of those upsets on the road in the game at Ohio State. And my brother, Blaine. Anyways.
You got a nice haircut.
No, you do. I do like your haircut.
I got told I look like one of the Backstreet Boys.
Backstreet's back. All right.
I don't like
one of the greatest.
I don't like the Lance Bass comparison. I'm not too. I don't.
They said
I'm not.
Lance
Yeah,
Bass? That's tough.
I'm not an A&M fan.
That's the worst one. Well, all right.
Grays.
All right, David, can you explain to people what we're about to do?
Here's what's going to happen, boys. I'm going to hit you with one of these matchups this weekend. You guys tell me which one is most likely or what the chances of an upset are with a numerical score of 1 to 10.
10 being
on board with that?
the most likely.
Most likely
Okay.
that there's an upset. Let's start with Tennessee at 9-2, going on the road to play Vanderbilt 6-5. They're already bowl eligible before this game. Who would have thought that? What are the chances? 1 to 10. 10 being Vanderbilt's definitely going to upset Tennessee. What are the chances that Vandy pulls the upset?
I'm going to say 3.5,
What sounds
which is a lot higher than what I would have guessed I would have said at the end of the year with what we thought Vanderbilt was going to be, which that's a credit to Clark Lee. Don't want them to take it as disrespect that I'm saying you should get credit for me giving you a 3.5 out of 10 on the likelihood scale. And Tennessee's shown us through patches to struggle offensively. And if they may be able to stop Diego Pavia in this offense from being consistent, but if this Vanderbilt defense can rise up and keep them in a game, we've seen Pavia be able to create enough, whether it's extending plays, whether it's just with his legs and the quarterback design, run game, zone read actions, things like that, that could create some problems. I just think there's so much tape on Vanderbilt and what they want to do. This Tennessee defense is so vaunted. They were able to take advantage of Alabama. Speaking of Vanderbilt, something you never thought you'd say. I don't think they're going to be able to take advantage of Tennessee the same way they did. And again, in-state rivalry. Tennessee's not going to sleep on this game, A, because if they lose it, they're out of the playoff, but B, because it's a rivalry game. And what would be worse than not making the college football playoff because the kids who just got 102 on the vocab test while you can't spell rock, beat you in the last game.
Mm-hmm. I was going to put the number at about 4 myself. Blaine, what do you think? The line's minus 10.5 for the game right now.
I would go with a sturdy 4.5. I think we're all in the same realm here. I just think Diego Pavia is a gamer, man.
Yeah.
He's a gamer. And
Last bite at the apple.
And we've seen Vanderbilt be able to play with the best. I mean, you beat an Auburn team. You only lose to Texas by 3. You beat Alabama. So Vanderbilt can show up in the moment. But I think Tennessee just has so much in front of them. They have to win this game. I mean, you beat your last opponent, I think it was UTEP, 56-0. They didn't even smell the end zone. So I think Tennessee's going to be out for blood in this game. But I think Diego Pavia does keep him in it. There's a reason this game's only 10.5 point spread.
Well, I mean, to Blaine's point, if you look at Vanderbilt at home, like that's where they beat Bama. That's where they only lost to 3 to Texas. If they were going to do it, that's where it would be. The problem is they just share the same state as the team that they're playing as opposed to...
Yeah, you just can't show up the way you showed up against South Carolina.
Very true, very true.
All right, next one up here. Let's talk about USC 6-5 hosting Notre Dame 10-1. Notre Dame hasn't played a true road game since, I believe, week 3 against Purdue. Now, they've played some neutral site games in hostile territory, but they're going to go on the road all the way to Los Angeles. Spread right now is minus 7.5 Notre Dame. What's the likelihood USC can pull the upset?
I'm going to say 5.5. And by 5.5, I don't mean the game is 50-50. I mean, kind of like you laid it out. I think there's half of a chance that they're able to pull an upset on a scale to 10, not that they got a 50% chance to win the game overall. When I look at this USC team, you made the quarterback change. We know what happened with Miller Wallace. I think Mivey has coming in and done some things. You got weapons. Like USC's got guys that can take that now screen against Notre Dame and score from 70 yards out. What I'm more worried about for USC is even with D'Anton Lynn, which I thought was a great hire, which they've done some good things, it hasn't been as great as it started out against LSU, and there's some reasons for that. I just wonder if they can slow down the Notre Dame rushing attack, including Riley Leonard. You brought up a point yesterday, David, which I thought was very salient, of how the passing game has improved for Notre Dame as the year's gone on. I wonder if that is more of a result because of who they were playing or if they're really improving that much. We're going to find out against this USC defense if that aerial attack is actually getting better, if it is for real. But they're not going to have to find that out if they're able to just run the ball right at USC. So I would say 5.5 out of 10 that they're able to pull the most likely upsets of the week. Not my highest, but I think USC's got a shot.
Yeah, I was feeling 5 as well. I mean, Notre Dame is playing much better, but Lincoln Riley, he always figures out a way to do this against somebody, right? Can he finish 7-5 sort of in the year on a high note? Where are you putting it at right now?
I would say 3. I think Notre Dame right now is playing some of the best football in college football, and not only are they beating people, they're destroying people. And apparently, if you talk around the nation, any group of 5 teams is just as good as anybody else. So, I mean, what Notre Dame did to them was borderline disrespectful. And we talked about how Notre Dame is built, right? They're built on running the football and stopping the run and getting after your quarterback. If you're SC, you don't have the recipe, in my opinion, and the guys to defend that. And I think Marcus Freeman, who's not getting talked about enough, right, on that hire is looking better and better every day. I think Notre Dame's a better football team. I think Riley Leonard is the best player on the field. I think Notre Dame covers.
Is there a good argument to be made that the spectrum for Notre Dame on how good they really are may be wider than anybody else? Because you look and you say, all right, you beat Texas A&M at the beginning of the year, who's still controls their own destiny going into the last week against Texas. You lost to Northern Illinois, who ended up kind of falling apart and not doing anything in the MAC. Yes, you've gone on a really good run here lately, but you're beating up on a bunch of the nerds, and then obviously the service academies. So I'm not saying Notre Dame is the best team in the country. I'm not saying they're overrated. What I'm saying is the range of how good Notre Dame is the biggest unknown to me still.
It's kind of like Indiana last week.
Yeah, you kind of have some comps, right? Virginia played a Clemson team really close. Right, Georgia Tech team who beat Miami, and they're beating them bad. Like you beat Virginia 40-14.
Okay, so let me ask you this: is SMU better than Notre Dame?
No.
Why not?
I don't think SMU would be able to stop Notre Dame on defense.
They beat Virginia to death. They held Virginia to less points than what Notre Dame did.
Okay, that's true. I just don't think SMU's built the way they need to be built to stop a team like Notre Dame.
Maybe they're kind of like Clemson. If you find them against inferior competition, they beat the brakes off of them. But if they're playing against superior competition, they lose more often than they win.
Maybe that's the truth. We're going to see. I can't wait to find out.
All right, next one up here. Penn State 10-1 hosting Maryland 4-7. The spread's minus 25.5. But look, Penn State was in a squeaker last week against Minnesota on the road.
0. 0. Not even 0.1. Penn State surviving the way they did against Minnesota. You know, they say you live your best life sometimes if your life flashes before your eyes at some point. I think that happened for Penn State last week. You saw Drew Aller and James Franklin kind of, you know, there was some bushiness there, I guess is the best way to put it on the sideline. This Maryland team, they can be sneaky at points. I think this Penn State team's going to handle business. It's at home, which is huge, and coming off a game where you just survived 24.5 point spread, somewhere around there. I think Penn State ends up finishing the season 11-1. Talk about the spectrum of, you know, who's really that good. I mean, you lost to Ohio State by 7. It was at home. How good is Penn State really? I don't know if we know, but I do know they're better than Maryland.
You giving them a better chance than 0?
Yeah, I mean, I would at least go probably a 3 here. This is the same.
Wow.
I mean, Maryland team that beat USC, right? And if USC is good enough to play with Notre Dame, I think they're good enough to play with Penn State. The thing about Maryland, you need to know, there's talent walking all around that state. All around that state. I've been through it. I've recruited it. And how good is Penn State? Do we really know? Do we really know? You played against a Minnesota team who did beat up on Maryland a little bit. I think that score is 48-23 in that range. But I think this game's going to be a little closer than what people expect. I do think Penn State's a better football team, but I think these guys at Maryland might have a little bit up their sleeve, might hit some big plays early, but I think Penn State wins close. I like the plus 20 for Maryland.
Syracuse 8-3, hosting Miami 10-1. That spread's minus 11 right now. We've been talking about this one for several weeks. Likelihood of a Syracuse upset.
This is my most likely upset of the week. I got it at 9. Look, I got a lot of respect for Mario Cristobal. I think Cam Ward's incredible. What that offense has done has been way more than admirable. You look at Restrepo, you look at McCormick, you look at the pieces that they have. Damian Martinez at running back. The offensive line's pretty good. I just don't trust this defense against a high-quality offense. I think that's who Syracuse is. The Pitt game earlier in the year, I think was the one game where Syracuse was going to show up at home and not play well. I think they got that out of the way. If this game was at Miami, I would take Miami. Maybe not by a ton. I think Syracuse wins this game. I think Syracuse knocks Miami out of playoff contention, knocks them out of the ACC championship game, regardless of what Clemson does against South Carolina, because don't forget that is not a conference game, so Clemson could lose that. If Miami loses, gets that second conference loss, Clemson will go and play SMU for the ACC championship. I think Kyle McCord, there's a reason that Fran Brown wanted that to send Champaign to Ohio State. I think Kyle McCord at home with Gadsden, with LeQuint, with all these guys, I think Syracuse wins it.
I'm going to hit 6 on the upset meter, but I'm going to hammer the over at 67.5. How are you feeling over there?
I'll tell you about getting hammered, David.
I'm going to go with 3. 3. I think Miami shows up in this.
You think Maryland has as good of a chance to beat Penn State as Syracuse has Miami?
Syracuse has beat UConn by 6.
Look who Syracuse has beaten earlier in the year.
6.
Go through their schedule.
You lost to Boston College. You beat a bad Virginia Tech team in overtime, and Pittsburgh killed you. I think Kyle McCord, I think it's going to be they're going to fight hard, and it's going to be a good game for a little bit, but I think the offense for Miami to start steamrolling.
Like Duke,
and Kyle McCord makes a couple mistakes, a couple picks and bad moments. And I think Miami covers this 11.5, and I think this is going to get played up to 13 and 14.5.
Okay.
Book it, buddy.
Wow.
Book it.
All right. I love to hear it. Let's stay in the ACC. SMU 10-1. That's right. They're 10-1 on the season.
Tell them, Jake.
Hosting Cal 6-5, minus 13.5 on the line. But look, you win this one, man. It's looking pretty. I mean, is there any thought that, because they're already locked into the ACC championship game,
correct,
right, Jake?
No, good. No, Blaine, you go ahead and answer first.
Are they?
I'm gonna give you.
I want everybody to know I had SMU go 9-3, so I'm.
Wow, you did. That's incredible.
I would say on this, I have to look at what the spread is.
It's minus 11.5.
Okay,
no, 13.5.
13.5. I would say a 5. I would say a 5 when it comes to Cal. I really like the Mendoza kid. They have a couple kids over here at Cal who are pretty nice.
He cooked Auburn.
Cooked Auburn. Yeah, and he had a great, and I loved his interview after his last game. You know, they're going bowling. He got emotional and stuff like that. They got a couple players on defense too, but I do think SMU is too fast. Too fast on offense. Brett Lashley said he recruited speed, and you can see it on the field. But I think SMU wins but I think I like Cal to cover.
Doesn't matter. We already punched the ticket, boys. Look, SMU is going to have to win. The ACC's getting one in. All right, they're getting one in. So you're going to have to win the ACC championship game anyway if you're SMU. So this one doesn't matter. Rest everybody. Rest everybody. I'd understand it in this one. Rest everybody. Who cares? You're already in it. We got to be healthy.
Joey Galloway.
We got to be. First off, you bite your tongue, sir. You bite your. If there was ever a time, this is when you do. SMU Cal isn't a rivalry. Are you kidding me? They just showed up to the party at the ACC and had a six-pack, so they let them in.
They're not even getting paid.
They're not even getting paid. They're paying to be in
You'd rather
there.
lose.
No, I would rather be healthy going into the ACC championship game. Nobody's going to be like, damn, we suck. We lost to Cal. Oh, wait, we're going to the ACC championship game.
Brett Lashley ain't going.
What happens if Jennings gets hurt?
Brett Lashley is not going to do that.
Okay, well, he should. It doesn't matter. As the one guy in America who picked them to play in the ACC championship game, rest them.
You're already good then.
I'm cooked. That's what I'm saying. Here it is, David. Here it is, David. Old Latin word. Doesn't matter.
All right. Let's go to Arizona State playing for a chance to play in the Big 12 championship game. How incredible is that, what Kenny Dillingham's done over there? They're going on the road to their in-state rival, Arizona, 4-7. Disappointing year. That spread's -8.5 ASU. Likelihood of an upset.
I'm going to say 2. I just think Arizona State is so locked in, man. They find ways to win at the end of the game. Scattaboo, you look at Levitt, you look at the defense being able to step up in big moments too. Arizona, I think there's some rifts with the older guys and that new coach from San Jose State. We talked about it before the season. I went sold on the hire that Arizona made. I get that Jed Fish jumped ship kind of last second to Washington. I get why he did it. I just think this Arizona State team is so together, man. They want to play in that Big 12 championship against all odds. Kenny Dillingham's done an incredible job. I just don't think Arizona's together enough to beat a team that's as together as Arizona State.
I'll put it at a 5. Still a rivalry game. How about you?
I'm going to go 2. I just think the way Arizona State's built is not good for Arizona. But I will say this about Arizona. McMillan's a problem.
Oh, he's
a
to
top
me?
3 pick.
Oh, he's a top. Who are you taking first at wide receiver?
I'm taking McMillan over Travis Hunter.
I'm probably taking McMillan over. If I'm going to get a receiver.
For sure.
Okay, now if I'm going to get the best player available and I need both, give me Travis Hunter because he can do both. But if I need a receiver alone, give me McMillan.
And no, Fafita can't stop turning the ball over either. Yeah. I mean, you have 13 interceptions on the year. If you do that against this Arizona State team, it'll get bad and get ugly early.
All right, Indiana 10-1 hosting Purdue 1-10. Kind of ugly there. Lines -28.5. Indiana not completely, I don't think mathematically, out of the Big Ten championship hunt, although it's not likely. Any chance Purdue can beat them?
Look, they've been building this up. You know, Ryan Walters has to have a good showing here to keep his job. I'm not 100% sure about that. But I am 100% sure I got this as a 1. Outside of Indiana, just for some reason hanging on to what happened last week or somebody getting hurt, I don't see Indiana losing this game. I think they realize they didn't handle the noise well, something we warned our audience about with them heading into that game against Ohio State and then dropping the punt, doing the little things wrong. I think Indiana, there's a reason that spread's where it is. I think Indiana knows they need to continue to make a good impression. They're going to get in at 11-1 because of what happened around them, but they still want to look good doing it and keep the possibility to host and the possibility to maybe host Notre Dame or vice versa, which would keep a playoff game in the state of Indiana. And in the sport of football, that is a shocker.
Who was your 0?
Huh?
Who was your 0?
Talking about earlier?
Yeah. Well, who was
Penn
your
State, Maryland?
Yeah, Maryland.
You think Purdue has a better chance to beat Indiana than Maryland does Penn State?
About the same. I think you could put that one as a 0. I was just trying to be clear.
Yeah, I would go 0 here. Purdue is really bad.
Well, anytime you got a sure thing, that's the one to watch out for.
Really bad, and this is Signetti's not going to let Indiana lose this football game. I think this is a great cover for you.
Too much swag.
All right, next one up here, Oregon, undefeated, hosting Washington, 6-5. Oregon already punched that ticket to the Big Ten championship game. Upset?
I would say.
Sit them?
I would. I don't know. I don't think you sit Dylan Gabriel. I would put this one as 2.5. I just don't think Washington offensively has enough to be able to put up enough points against Oregon, just running their base stuff with Will Stein. this first year under Jed Fish, you beat Michigan. That win doesn't look as good now. I think Oregon and Dan Lanning and them understand it's not just if you get hot, it's when you get hot. They want to keep playing well. And after that Wisconsin game, you want to kind of get back on the horse and get in that rhythm of really just beating somebody to death as you get ready to probably play Ohio State for a second time in the Big Ten Championship. And then depending on that, whether you're going to get a bye in that first round or not. So I don't think you sit anybody here for that specific reason. I think context matters. I would put it at 2.5. Offensively, I don't think Washington can do enough.
I'd go 3. I think after that scare that happened with Oregon at Wisconsin, Dan Lanning's going to have these guys ready. And any team that gives up 40 points against Iowa, I just can't trust.
I'd say 5, man. If you've already got your ticket punched,
that is a little bit worrisome, right?
Back against your wall. Cross state lines rivalry there. Both came into the conference in the first year. Could be a little bit worrisome, but I think Oregon's focused on.
I think I would buy a little bit more into that if Washington was 5-6.
Trying to get bowl eligible.
Trying to get bowl.
2 more here. Buckeyes hosting Michigan -21 on the line. That hurts to see. Michigan 6-5. Obviously, the Buckeyes 10-1. They could make the Big Ten championship game with the loss, but they need some help. So
yeah,
they're trying to get to the title game.
Man, I don't want to be disrespectful to the pageantry and tradition of this game because it is an amazing rivalry. It's been so consequential over the last half decade. Kind of traded places with the Iron Bowl on what, from a college football standpoint, is the most consequential rivalry game. I just think with the multiple losses to Jim Harbaugh and the perception around Ryan Day and just the overall personnel difference in this game and it being at Ohio State, just out of respect, I'm going to put it at a 3 for Michigan. I think it's probably a little bit lower than that, but I do know growing up in a rivalry game like that, crazy things can happen. It's supposed to be really, really cold. I know both those teams are, they call it the Midwest. It's the North to me. I'm going to put it as a 3. I would probably put it in more as a 6.5 that Michigan covers plus 21.5. I would put it higher for that as far as winning. I'm going to respectful 3.
Respectfully. How about you?
1.
So much respect.
1. I mean,
it's not wrong.
There's nothing I can look at this game and be like, yeah, Michigan has an advantage here. And that's worrisome. Like even the show yesterday, a guy called in and tried to put 3 quarterbacks in the backfield. Like if we're already grasping straws that much, I just don't see. Ohio State has too much. They have too much. Yeah. And Ryan Day, it's purse. It's purse this year. And there's ever a time to get back at somebody, this is the year to do it if you're Ohio State.
And that, I don't know why I just thought of this, but maybe it's just looking around. I used to think coming on here, man, am I the only ones who my pants are too short? And then I look around the rest of us, we're just ankles out, fellas. I love it.
Yeah.
Look, it's like we got to get some longer pants.
You get arrested, not right?
No, I'm good over here.
No, in Iran, you would get arrested. If you're a chick and you showed foot nut, ankle bone.
Wow.
Right. That's tough.
Yeah, -5. -5 on the eye.
David.
No, I'm not going to be. I'm not.
Are you talking temperature? Temperature?
I'm not going to be the
game time
to jinx their chances.
Put the poison
okay?
out there, dude.
Negative. No, I already gave them a speech yesterday. Okay, they already got that for the high point. Negative. There's no way. There's no way Michigan can go on the road. Okay, that's what the whole world is saying anyway. There's no chance. Hey, some people are saying 2020 just don't even go down there and play.
Who started quarterback?
Davis Warren.
Okay.
But I have a dual package. Dual package there. What's so ironic about this game is this is the one year where Michigan, if you just took the few best players in the game, Michigan might have that. If you look at the first round of this next draft, when you talk about Will Johnson and Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant and some of these guys, they may have the guys who get drafted the highest, but just the complete roster right now. Those guys came back for a reason.
And Loveland. Loveland's...
Holston Loveland? Well, hold on. I'm putting NIL package for him to come back, all right? So don't worry about that.
Oh, my God.
All right, last one up here. Alabama 8-3, tough loss last week. Auburn 5-6, big win last week. Line -11.5. What are the chances?
-5.
Oh, interesting strategy.
I'm gonna go. It's original. I just came up with it. I'm gonna go 6, just because I think Auburn is a little bit more confident. Right? They realize they got nothing to lose. It's kind of that balance of nothing to lose and confidence. Bama reeling a little bit after last week. Not just that you lost, but how you lost. Knowing you're probably out of the playoff and definitely out of the SEC championship, but it's the Iron Bowl. What a better way to get back on the horse than beating Auburn? Maybe make yourself, feels good to feel good again. I just seen this game be crazy, but it never really, outside of Cam Newton, I have never seen Auburn go into Tuscaloosa and win this game when their team wasn't better than Alabama's overall. I still think Alabama's team overall in 2010 was better than Auburn's team. Cam Newton and Nick Fairley were just absolutely incredible. So I would put it at a 6. I think there's a chance. Just not a very good one. Now, if this was at Auburn, now we're sniffing in the right pumpkin patch. You know what I'm saying?
I'll put it at a 4. How about you?
1,000. 1,000%.
Scale of 1 to 10.
1,000.
Well, I just went negative, so I can't talk.
The book's out
That
on
is true,
Bama.
David.
The book's out on Bama. You know how to stop them now.
Now we're not going to win.
And who knows what's going to? Hey, a lot of chirping.
No,
in that
a
locker room.
lot of selfishness.
Guys going after
On
each
this side.
other. Who knows? Maybe some guys are already checked out.
Selfishness.
I mean, maybe already in the portal. Kalen DeBoer's not the guy. And Auburn, Hugh Freeze, he's crying in interviews. Right? Everything's going where we need to go. We figured out to throw it to Cam Coleman. Peyton Thorne's best game of the year.
We will never
Realize
Yes.
what you've done.
We will never
Yeah, who's
hear the
Ryan
end of
Williams?
this if they beat them.
Yeah.
We will never hear the end of it from this guy
That's
right
fine.
here.
Look, I'm usually just do the chat. This is great for me.
Still wouldn't be as good as the SMU call, at least to me.
Yes, it would.
I don't think so.
Yes, it would. 1,000%.
All right, boys, we'll see.
Well,
We're going to find out
look.
Saturday.
Regardless of what game you're watching, we all know there are very few things better in life than being at a live sporting event. And it's not just sports. It's concerts. It's the theater. It's other cool stuff that I don't even know about yet. But if you want to take the guesswork out of buying tickets, if you want to stop having to filter through all the BS, you need to check out our friends over at Game Time. How do you do that? Well, you download the Game Time app from the store of apps on your phone. You create an account, use code BOOSTER, you get $20 off your first purchase the American way. Again, you download the app from the App Store. It's the Game Time app. Use that code BOOSTER. Get $20 off. You can even see the view from your seat before you buy the ticket. So take the guesswork out of buying, and you can get them up to an hour before. What else y'all want? Why would you use anything else? It's the greatest deal of all time. We're visual people. You can see it. You can get money off of it. You can get it up to an hour before the event. Maybe it's an hour and a half, and your wife decides to let you go with your boys. Who you can call? Not the Ghostbusters. It's Game Time. What time is it, guys?
Game time.
Wow, good job, guys. That was really on cue.
All right, I missed one because it was in the Friday night section. Georgia hosting Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech 7-4 this year. That line minus 19.5. Is that too much?
I don't know. I don't think it is. I think a lot of people are going to take Georgia Tech because they're going to look at the way Georgia played against UMass and Georgia Tech with Philo, and they're just rotating these quarterbacks in, one to throw, one to run. I think Georgia shows up. It's at Georgia, I believe.
Yeah.
Too, right? Yeah, I think Georgia shows up and blows this one out. Give me 4. Because I respect Brent Key. Right? They're going to have a good plan. I just, Georgia knows what's at stake. Even though they're already in the SEC championship, I think they realize if they win this game, they probably clinch a playoff berth, even if they were to lose the SEC championship and go 10-3. Give me 3.5.
I like 4. I don't know about the 19.5 right now on the points. What do you feel?
Georgia Tech.
I'd probably go 2. I mean, you just gave up over 200 yards rushing against UMass. Kirby's going to have them boys where they need to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's too much in front of Georgia. I think Kirby's going to have them right. Carson's back, already looking better. And some guys are actually coming to be the impact players at Georgia. So I like Georgia. I like them big. Big.
Right, there you go.
All right, let's get to locks, leans, and dogs here.
Let's
Dave.
do it.
Let's get of course, we weren't going to let you have a Thanksgiving without locks, leans, and dogs. So here we go. Give me Missouri at home against Arkansas, minus 2.5. That's a minus 115. Then Army. All right, I'm riding with you. Didn't pick you in locks for the Notre Dame game, and I'm really glad that I didn't do that. But give me Army minus 6 at home against UTSA at minus 130. Then my leans, Texas A&M at home. They might lose, but it's going to be by 5 or less. Plus 5.5, that's at minus 110. Iowa State, they have to have it. At home against a Kansas State team that's been reeling. I think they win by at least a field goal. Iowa State minus 2.5 at minus 115. And then my dogs. Syracuse, money line. Told you, regardless of what Blaine says. At home against Miami, plus 330. Then Kentucky, at home against Louisville. It's been ugly. It's been nasty.
Quarterback.
You like that one?
Kind of make it look a little bit better. Beat Louisville, who's been inconsistent at home. That's at plus 136. Diesel, what you got?
All right, let's get into this here. My locks for this weekend, Kansas money line playing at Baylor -110. I think I saw a stat that said Kansas football is the first team with a losing record in FBS history to beat 3 consecutive ranked teams. That was the Kansas we thought we might get for the whole year. Yep. Hasn't been that way, but they're coming on strong. Kansas money line, I believe here. Let's finish the season strong. Illinois -6.5, -135 on the odds. They're playing a Northwestern team that Michigan, who you beat, just beat them by 50 to 6, I think it was. So give me Illinois minus the 6.5, just a little bit alt line there at -135. Duke -4 points, -112 on the odds there. They're playing at Wake. Hey, talking about 3-loss football teams, what Manny Diaz has done at Duke, man. Very sneaky, man. They're disciplined. I was talking about them with Tom Luganbill the other day. He's called a few of their games. Very impressive. I'm also leaning Georgia Southern money line at home against Appalachian State. It has to mean something. GATA, -135 on the odds there. And then for my dog picks, South Carolina money line +114. I think that's great value there for them playing at Clemson. And then Kansas State money line also +114 playing at Iowa State. Has a chance to sort of ruin Iowa State's chances to get into the Big 12 championship.
What do you got?
All right, David, I love it. All right, let's go to locks, baby. Lock it up. Let's go to Tennessee -9.5. The spread's sitting at 10.5. It's going off at -120. I bought this down a point. I don't think Tennessee's going to lose this football game. And I think the way Vanderbilt's built,
took your second bet.
Vanderbilt's built is not good for what they're about to walk in against Tennessee's front seven. Give me Florida -13.5, -120. Florida State's bad. They're a bad football team, and DJ Lagway's a problem, and Billy Napier's got these guys going, and their front seven is a bunch of monsters coming off a huge win.
I'm sorry, did you just compliment Billy Napier?
I've complimented Billy Napier. It's fine. I just don't know why he's getting all the love. He's won 6 games. All right, let's go to leans. Let's go to Auburn +11.5. I'm doubling up here. Auburn +11.5, -110. Hey, believe. And I'm rolling with Missouri 2, -2.5, -115. I think their offense is going to be too much for Arkansas. Then the dogs, man. I'm going South Carolina money line here, +114. I think South Carolina is a better football team than Clemson. And the one time Clemson faced true talent, that was against Georgia, and it was an absolute beatdown. And Auburn money line +330.
Wow.
I refuse to pick them. I don't care. When it comes to Auburn, I do the right thing every week. Every week, there's no bias anywhere. But this week, buddy, there's bias. All right, there's bias. It means something to me. Give me Auburn money line +330.
Boy, that would be delicious for Auburn fans. But you know what else is delicious? Meat. We're men.
Good Ranchers?
We're carnivores. And there's not a better delicious meat.
Excuse me, are we bothering you?
No, I'm good. I'm sorry.
You good over there?
Yeah, someone cut it. Someone clipped that right after Jake says meat. I just don't want to.
Hey, eat that bone-in ribeye and be quiet.
I love it.
Yeah, why don't you shut up and let me read?
I love it.
Whether it's pork, chicken, delicious steak, or even seafood, you need to check out our friends over at Good Ranchers. Not only are they delivering the best meat in the business with no hormones or antibiotics, but it's made right here in the good old United States. They're not importing this from Bangladesh or Uzbekistan or some country we don't trust. This is made by American farmers and ranchers, American families just like yours. And right now, Good Ranchers is offering something extraordinary. A free Thanksgiving ham. Spiral cut, $110 value. I was going to make a joke about Blaine, but I didn't do it because I'm an adult, David.
Good for you.
Because I'm an adult. And don't wait on this one. When you visit goodranchers.com, you use code BOOSTER, BOOSTER, you can claim your free Thanksgiving ham. Again, that's $110 value, spiral cut the best ways. Support American farmers, skip the grocery store chaos, and make this holiday truly special with Good Ranchers. That's goodranchers.com. Use promo code BOOSTER, BOOSTER. Subscribe to any of their boxes, but mainly the butcher's box. Good Ranchers, American meat delivered. Speaking about delivering, the NFL delivered some pretty good games this weekend.
Yes, it did.
And we have a best and worst. David, would you like to start us off with your best of the...
You want my best? The Harbaugh brothers, John and Jim, they're just good for the game. As disappointing as it was to watch Jim Harbaugh leave Michigan to return to the NFL, this guy is just, they're good for the game. They're good for the sport. I love watching them interact. They played against each other they coached against each other in the Super Bowl before Jim Harbaugh left to go to Michigan. And watching them this past Monday night, they're great for the sport. Look at the Chargers, the turnaround. How many times did we yell at the screen when the Chargers were playing under Brandon Staley and say, say, you're not doing the right things. And it's one thing to be able to identify the problems, but to be able to execute them the way that Jim Harbaugh does. They're a downhill running team now, a lot of different heavy personnel groupings. I love to see it. Found themselves up with an early lead. What's John Harbaugh do? Leads the Ravens. They come back, they win it. I wouldn't be surprised if we see them match up against again in the postseason.
Oh, without a doubt, nothing would surprise me. My best, look, many times I've said the worst is the Cowboys. When they do well, I'm going to give them their flowers. Cooper Rush, everybody involved in the Cowboys organization, it's been a disaster. This doesn't make up for all the awful things that have gone down. It doesn't make up for Jerry Jones continuing to say stupid things and do stupid things. At least he's consistent. But that was a heck of a win on the road against the Commanders, especially when the Commanders started making that push late. The Cowboys were able to answer. Look, it's not going to fix anything. This season is a dud. It's been a dud. We'll see what they do going forward if Mike McCarthy does get that extension Jerry Jones was talking about. But, for the Cowboys fans, man, as sad as this is to say, it just feels good to win one. I bet.
There's been a lot of talk lately about aliens. Are they in the ocean? Are they in Antarctica? No, man, there's one in Philadelphia, okay? And it's Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
255 yards rushing against the Rams with 2 touchdowns. This guy's not human. Like, to do that in the NFL, to me, is almost impossible.
It's nuts.
Impossible. So my best, Saquon, man, thank goodness I didn't play against you in fantasy this week.
I did.
Oh,
what did he get, 52 piece?
52.
52 piece. Blaine, let's keep it over to you. What is your worst?
Quentin Johnson. This guy couldn't catch a cold in the middle of Ann Arbor right now. He dropped 6 passes against the Ravens. As an NFL receiver, man, that's just unacceptable. And they were key moments, really big moments in that football game. So my worst is Quentin Johnson. He's had a history of drops. All right, and the things about it, they seem to just fall and fall and fall, and they keep coming. And to me, that's more of a mindset thing right now. So, Quentin, man, keep your head up, right? You drop one, you can't think about the next drop when that pass comes to you. But, man, 6 is unacceptable.
Mine is the Giants. It's one thing to lose games, but you're losing the locker room. You see Malik Neighbors coming out. A lot of, some players were talking about Daniel Jones, the way that was handled. Say what you want about Daniel Jones. I think he handled it with class. But when Malik Neighbors comes out and doesn't understand why he's not getting a target or he's not getting looked at early in offensive possessions and you're literally the Giants and you really have nothing else, I don't understand it either. I'd be pissed off too. Malik Neighbors is the one guy that could probably save you in some of these games or at least put you in a position to be able to have a chance to win a game at the end. You're not even looking at him. So it just seems like a disaster. I'm really disappointed in Debo. I really am. What he did for Josh Allen, then coming over to the Giants, Daniel Jones having that kind of resurrection year that he had last year, and it is just absolutely falling apart. They've lost everything. They've lost games. They're losing the fans. They're losing the locker room. It's just an absolute disaster. You better draft well. You better draft well.
Well, my worst was going to be the Texans losing to the Titans. Not sure how that happens.
Me either, dude.
I'm going to tweak it now because I heard Brandon Graham has had another season-ending injury, and it rips my guts out, man. I was fortunate enough to play over the course of my career with a lot of great football players. Some of them I don't even talk to anymore because being a good football player, it means so little to me the older I get in life. Brandon Graham, the type of man this guy is, I'm just telling you, he's the epitome of everything that a man should strive to be for. One of the greatest teammates that I've ever had in my life. So the fact that he has had such a successful NFL career and he was so great at football, to me, that's just icing on the cake of what he's done with his family, what he's done in the community with Philadelphia. BG, if you're listening to this, man, thank you for everything that you've given to the game. I don't know if you've suited up for the last time. I don't know if you're going to hang the cleats up, but thank you for everything you've given to the game and to the community and to all of us who've been able to play with you and watch you through the years. So that's my worst for the week.
Very well said. All right. Well, you talk about Brandon Graham, what type of man he is, and obviously he's a responsible guy. He's a great teammate, had a fantastic career. But if you want to be a responsible man, you got to take care of your health too. And ladies, if you're worried about your man's diet out there or he's not getting what he needs, let me tell you a way to help him out with Responsible Man, the multivitamin with 33 key ingredients that help sharpen your brain, help your immune system, just overall. It comes in a delicious minty flavor as well. It's in a nasty flavored pill. We all know those. And with the diets we have today, I know RFK Jr. is going to go in there and try and fix some of it. We don't know if we can fix all of it with all the processed foods we have in the United States, but I'm telling you, by going to responsibleman.com, I'm going to get to that in a second, but by taking this vitamin, this multivitamin, It is going to give you peace of mind, and it'll help continue to make you healthy. You got to do the other stuff as well, but it puts you in the best position to stay around as long as possible. And right now, you can take advantage of Responsible Man's early access Black Friday sale. Get 60% off your order. Head over to responsibleman.com. Use our code BOOSTER at checkout, but hurry, this deal will not last long. Remember, gentlemen, a strong America needs strong men, and strong men start with Responsible Man. So go to responsibleman.com, use that code BOOSTER, and get 60% off. But, David, you have a responsibility each week because you got a lawn.
Let me fulfill that.
All right, that you fulfill that responsibility. And right now, there's a certain format that you want to tell get on or get off, or maybe thoughts. David, you always work overtime to make sure everything works out. So talk about overtime to me, David.
College football overtime critics need to get off my lawn. Following the quadruple OT thriller between Auburn and Texas A&M last weekend, many took to social media complaining that overtime in college football is flawed. I'm here to tell said people, not only is the format not flawed, it's perfect, and it's the best overtime in all of sports. Here's why. Because with each additional overtime period, the conflict becomes more and more truncated on the field until it's eventually distilled down to the very essence of the game. Line up on the 2-yard line. We're going to try and score the football. You try and stop us. And we're going to go as many times as it takes until one of us is victorious. How is that not more exhilarating than an additional 10-minute period like the NFL or basketball? I disagree with critics who say the format is too disjointed from regulation. Overtime is disjointed from regulation. So why can't the format be? Within reason, of course. I'm not suggesting we play 4 quarters of football, then decide the winner by having a mitten knitting contest, although that would make recruiting more interesting, and it would still be better than ending in a tie. But that is not the case. The design is not arbitrary. Quite the opposite, in fact. Similar to penalty shootouts, this setup forces you to battle at the most critical region of the gridiron, the goal line. With all that said, I had no problem with the previous format, which gave us a 74-72 score in College Station a few years back. And I wouldn't have recommended a change. But now that I've seen this iteration, I love it. There are so many aspects of college football that need changing. Overtime is not one of them. Leave it alone and stay off my lawn.
North Korean clap. Agree 100%.
Go, Dave.
Do you?
And we've got a great conversation. It's a great segue, David. We're going to talk about this with Josh Pate on Friday's show. Make sure you check that out. Happy Thanksgiving, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Tomorrow we're not going to have a live show. Great way to end.
Y'all travel safely if you go out of town.
Yeah, man.
Too.
You guys as well. Please give the family our love. And we always give your families our love. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Remember, no show tomorrow. We're back with Josh Pate on Friday. Then we're going to get a delicious helping, a little bit more of football on Saturday, and have a great Sunday recap for you. God bless you and all your families. Happy holidays. Have a great Thanksgiving. And like the chances of me not having to take multiple naps after consuming tons of turkey, but no cranberry sauce. We're going. Gone. Mitten knitting.
nice.
Just got mittens.